Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of The Trevor Ohlsen Show, episode 103 on Wednesday, February 16th, 2022. I am your host for the evening, the afternoon, the night, the day, the dusk, the dawn. Trevor Ohlsen. Good to be here. If you'd like to support the show, you can head over to patreon.com/Trevor Ohlsen, where I do a bonus Saturday podcast episode every Saturday, just like this. Best way to support the show, best way to support anything that I'm doing creatively. Let's get into the show and into the week. How's your week been? Are you doing good since I last saw you? I chopped my head a bit, as you can see, shaped. Can you see? Got it a little bit. First little. My head's freezing. It's like my head is in a perpetual ice bath. I woke up in the middle of the night. It was fucking freezing. Yes, I do. First haircut here in LA. That means time's flying by because I get a cut about every 5 weeks. So I was about 3 weeks in. 3 weeks into being here. I've been here almost a month already. Just like that. The bedroom, you guys, coming along finally. Almost all painted. I'm just a painter. Some people like to think I'm a singer-songwriter. Some people think, well, you guys, I don't know, YouTuber, I don't know, make videos. I see myself as a painter, folks. I just paint walls all the time. No, I've just been, I've just been doing it the smart way, doubling up the layers so that there's nothing bleeding through from the previous color. I'm looking at it right now. It's a nice gray, real vibrant color, color choice, gray. But I will say I'm already feeling more at ease in the room. I think that the way we optimize our environment, I think that has a major effect on how on our moods and how we act and kind of what we bring out into the world. It's amazing what the color of paint on a wall can do to your energy. It was like a powder blue before, spackling all over, chaotic. Too much chaos. Now it's much more calm, and so it's already starting to feel more like home. But yes, what have you been up to? What have you been up to? Hump day, as they say. Halfway through your shitty week, if you're looking forward to the week being over. Let's jump into the show, folks. What's been going on? Well, little updates before we jump in. I got to do a show, my first LA show at this Irish pub called the Odd Fella. I almost just said the Lost Fellas. Called dogs are barking. The Odd Fella, AULD in Culver City, in Los Angeles. It was a gig. It was a damn it! Shut the dog up. Excuse me. It was a gig. It wasn't like a show. It was, and I'll explain to you the difference. The difference between a gig and a show is a gig is, they hire you. You get hired for an event or for a night, whatever. For say in this case, it was at a restaurant, at a bar. Great space. The owner's awesome. Just good vibes, good food. Definitely check it out if you're in the area. And I played for 3 hours from 7 to 10, and it's kind of like you're running through old stuff, new stuff. It's kind of like a paid rehearsal, if you will, with breaks, and it's not as it's a different type of playing than a show. When it's a show, you're playing for, let's say, 90 minutes. 45 minutes, 60 minutes if you're an opener or something like that. And, you've got your set list figured out, you're locked in, you're ready to go. And especially if you're playing with other people, because the gig I did was just me by myself, which I've done a million times. And but the last show I did was in Michigan before I came out here, and it was with a full band, and it was so fun. It was so fun. And that's like all I want to do now is play music with a full band. But happy to have had the gig and happy to get my foot in the door out here in LA. So I'll probably be back there monthly, from what the owner told me. And he's like, "Do you got any more fun songs?" He doesn't sound like that, but he's because he was like, I just want you to play some love songs. It was a Valentine's Day gig, and I was like, sure, yeah. And then he's like, can you play some more upbeat stuff? And I was like, yep, sure. I just need to learn new shit. I need to learn new songs. I've got the ballads down to a T, folks. Got the ballads down to a T. I need some more. I need to, in self-admittedly, I need to update my my set list. But happy to have had the gig, and look forward to doing more. So, what'd you think of the episode? Episode 5. This is Talking Allt for Sverige, episode 5, the Trevor Ohlsen Show, number 103. So that is what we're going to be getting into here. What'd you think? I will say I'm surprised at how fast the time is going by. You know, where the episodes have been coming in weekly, and I can't believe we're already on episode 5 of 8. So we are beyond the halfway point. The show's going to be over soon. It's going to be over soon. And but that's okay. Oh, good things must die. Let's see what the episode. Let's take a look here. What it was. Yes, Umia. Let me know in the comments section how you fucking say anything in Swedish. Umia, we went up there, up north to Umia. I almost just started talking about the upcoming episode because something came to mind. Don't want to mix up episodes. Yes, this was the episode talking on the subject of healthcare, the comparison of the Swedish healthcare system, comparatively speaking, to the U.S. healthcare system, and which isn't good. But also, I will I'll say that I'm not educated enough really to speak on healthcare. I don't know what it would take for the United States to implement something that's more European, but yes, don't know. But it was fun. The episode was fun to make. It was fun to be a part of. It was fun to see Umia. It was a long ass drive. Here's the thing: they don't tell us shit when we're on the show. We were thrown into a van, and we're just like shuttled around everywhere. And that I remember this day, the day we went up to Umia. I think it was a 6-hour drive, 8-hour drive. It might have been 8, it might have been 6, something like that. But they didn't tell us, so we're just kind of hanging out. And it's like 3 hours passed. We're like, where are we heading? You know, and they're like, oh, we can't tell you. It's like, oh, shocker. You can't tell us. You haven't told us shit this whole time. But we eventually got there. We stopped at what is it? What's the fast food restaurant place that you guys have in Sweden? What is it? It's Max? Max. That's right, Max. Fucking terrible food. What are you doing? Don't be eating that nonsense. I had a salad at Max's because I'm trying to have some sort of semblance of healthy food, and I had like a chicken salad, and the chicken came out in like a 90-degree angle cube, flat and processed. I just kind of chopped it up to make it look like some type of actual chicken. And I remember I ate it, and I felt like dog shit for hours after. And so even the salad wasn't ideal. I think a lot of Swedes will be unhappy with me saying that. From what I understood, a lot of people like Max. And while we were there, something came out, some special equivalent of like the, I don't know, Big Mac here in McDonald's, at McDonald's in the U.S. It was some type of special burger that they busted out, and I remember the crew getting very excited, and I was like, you're a bunch of animals. Bunch of animals trying to eat at Max's. But we stopped there along the way for lunch on our way up to Umia. I shit myself in the van due to the salad, and no, got up to Umia. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful drive. So this week's episode, Brittany and Brett. Let's talk about Brett first, because his story was first. I thought, Brett and I got along great. We got along quite well throughout the trip. And he was open on this week's episode, about losing his son after only 2 days. A horrible, tragic experience that he had many, many years ago. He's now the father of two beautiful daughters. Beautiful daughters. Brett told me, he's like, don't ever talk to my daughters. So two daughters, and that's funny he said that to me. But it was very, I think, to be vulnerable on camera and in front of, and to know that it's going to be seen by a lot of people, I'm not going to overstate it, but, I admire the fact that he was open and honest and vulnerable. I admire when people are vulnerable, when they're honest, when they tell the truth. And so I thought Brett putting himself out there like that was admirable. So hats to you, Brett, for doing that. And hats off to you. My freezing hat off to you, Brett. And cool story, as always. All the stories have been so interesting. I can't remember any of the fucking names or the details, but they've been interesting, learning about everyone. It's even difficult to remember what I learned, because you learn so much depth and so much detail. And it's like you have to go back and look at the letter and look at the information that the documented evidence that they collected, because it's so in depth, and all the different names, pair, person. There's on my family tree, which you haven't seen me get yet, but everybody gets them. There's a person. What's his name? I can see it from here. Benjaminson Brandback. What a name. What's your name? Is it, I'm just Benjaminson Brandback. They call me Triple B, baby. Got that Triple B going on. Benjaminson Brandback. Beautiful. So it's you have to look at the documented evidence to remember all the details. But it was fun to see Brett's story. Also funny that he comes from a long line of criminals, Brett. Criminals. Stealing oatmeal and shit. That's a class A. I don't know if that's a thing. Class A felony. Spent time in prison in Sweden. He initially talked his way out of it, which is funny because Brett's in sales, and he's a big talker, aren't you, Brett? So that was neat to see Brett's story. Yes, we went to the hospital. I'm looking here. Yes, something that we wouldn't have been able to do in America, folks. There's no chance in hell we would have been able to do what we did in Sweden in America. There would have been so many different liabilities, so many different forms we would have had to sign. I mean, we went into this hospital, we threw on some scrubs, and then all of a sudden, where I'm putting an oxygen mask on an old fella and Eric is drawing his blood, we would be sued in America. And so I just remember calling back home at one point during that trip, and I was like, they're just letting us, take care of the elderly. We're going to be working at a nursing home soon. I have to bring my W-9 over. Clock in. Start working. Start working over in Sweden. In the hospital setting. Interesting difference between the healthcare systems. I already briefly spoke on that and my lack of education to speak any further. John was funny. It was funny watching John get, nose fucked by the COVID test. Which I don't think he had ever had yet. At that point, it was funny. We just made a big deal about it. Quit being a pussy, John. What else? Yep, there's the old fella we helped out. Brett's story, yes. Yes, and challenging for him to go to the maternity ward, because that's where he lost his son. And so, good on him for facing that sort of fear. Facing that. And doing it quite nobly. Fast forward through Brett's story. We get it, Brett. Life's not all about you. Yes, Swedish school, where we learned about you sociopathic lonely Swedes living all alone in your apartments, jacking off, watching porn. Um, no, more Swedes. More Swedes living alone than like anywhere, but not necessarily lonely. That's what they try to argue here in this week's episode during the Swedish school. Egentid. Egentid. Something that that was one thing I noticed. Well, one of the many things that I noticed was the fact that I already take a lot of alone time. I spend a lot of time in solitude. I spend a lot of time intentionally alone, and so that was just a funny sort of, and it's not this profound thing, people have alone time everywhere, but it's definitely something that I enjoy, and I do it every single day on a daily basis. I like my privacy. I like to be alone with myself, and the Swedes do as well. So that was something Swedish I was doing over here in America, which I don't know. I thought was interesting. But yeah, more Swedes living alone, more single apartments in Sweden than anywhere else. But Swedes are rated among some of the happiest people on the planet, which makes sense. I noticed from being over there, and I think this is just more European in general. You guys just have a different pace of the Swedes, and Europe just has a different pace than the United States. Like, people in Sweden and in Europe work hard. Everybody works hard everywhere. But you guys take your breaks. You guys have your egentid, your fika. You guys take the time to slow down. I think there's a sort of deliberate slowness over in Europe. It's not all about what I think it's a different value system than here in America. In America, people are praised for just hustling, and make sure you have a side hustle, and make sure your fucking, I don't know, Instagram following's up, and America is largely driven by pop culture and celebrity. We're obsessed with celebrity here in America to an unhealthy degree. But I think that's actually kind of dying with, or maybe just transforming. Probably not dying, but it's one thing I think of is I think of like TikTokers, like what's her face, who's got like 1 billion followers on TikTok, who's a dancer, sort of, the D'Amelio sisters. Like, they're cute and sort of talented, sort of, kind of, not really. And not like a Leonardo DiCaprio, or a Denzel Washington, or a John Mayer, or somebody who's skilled, like hyper skilled at a specific craft. They're just cute and dancing, and good on them for like their success. By all means, I want people to be successful. I'm not one of those people who there's people, we've all met those people who are unhappy that other people are happy, that other people are successful, and that's a horrible, horrible way. You don't want to fall into envy. It's a horrible way to live your life. So I'm happy for their success. I hope I run into them out here in Los Angeles, and I'll go, "Hey, you're that sort of dancer, aren't you?" But anyway, like, I think their success, for me, it takes the landscape of celebrity and it lowers it. Because it's like, here's these sort of semi-talented people, but they've got more followers than fucking John Mayer, Leonardo DiCaprio. So it's just kind of like, oh, it's just different. It's transforming. So I think the idea of celebrity is changing, but we're still obsessed with it here. And like money, fame, popularity, those are definitely in the value system of the United States to some degree. I think at the end of the day, all people really want is to be loved, to have meaning, to love, to have family, to have friends, to have good health, to have meaning in their life, a meaningful job, meaningful passions. I think collective, we're all individuals and 100% unique. Nobody has lived your life experience or mine or anybody else's. We've all had different life experiences. And yet at the core of it, we all want the same things, essentially. So where was I going with any of that? I don't know. I don't know where I was going with any of that, folks. That happens here on this show. I just start rambling and I go, that was supposed to tie into something, but look at me not, remembering what I said 4 seconds ago. That's all right. Brittany, beautiful place in Colorado, I might say. Gorgeous country. Colorado is a gorgeous state, and I loved Brittany's cabin. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. It looks great. I love that sort of that cabin feel, tucked away in the woods, private, solitude. If you're a psychopath, you can get rid of bodies. Like, it just makes life easier. Again, wonderful to see the type of healing, I keep using that word too much, that comes along with all of us learning about our family's history. And Brittany had recently lost her father, and I recall her part of her family history was, having people, children. It's just crazy when you hear about it. I think in this case, Brittany's case, somebody had, I think it was like 15 children, and I'm gonna mess up the numbers, but like 7 or 8 of them passed away very young, and it's crazy that just a few hundred years ago, how often children were dying, or just how anybody would get sick and die. Like, the advances in medicine have really made, even with all of our problems, it's made this time in history a great time to be alive. But wonderful to see Brittany's experience, and for her to fill in those gaps in the narrative, and to learn everything that she learned. And again, in a beautiful spot. She comes from a beautiful space. Venice, I don't know how to say it. Vannas. The A with the 2 dots, whatever that is. I don't know how to. I don't know what that is. So very happy to see Brittany's story come to fruition for her, and for her to experience the things that she did, and to learn everything that she did learn. Wonderful. And then, yes, I want to talk about this. Then we went to, we got to stay with that lovely family up north at the farm. The farm. It looks like, by the way, if you haven't been to the United States, it looks like Wisconsin, exactly like Wisconsin. It doesn't look any different at all. It's the same, which makes sense that Swedish people came and settled into the Midwest. Makes total sense. But that, was one of my favorite experiences on the entire show. There's another experience which hasn't been shown yet that I really enjoyed, but this one was wonderful. We had been traveling throughout Sweden, experiencing all the different places, home base in Stockholm, and so, which I loved Stockholm, as I've talked about, but it was a wonderful sort of contrast to all of a sudden be like 6 hours north in Umeå, and to be in the countryside, and to just see the rolling fields, and there's the garden that they had, and we ate moose that the family had killed, that the husband had killed, and it was one of the best meals I had. Definitely one of the best meals that I had was that moose sort of, I don't know, taco thing with the vegetables wrap, not a taco wrap, a moose wrap, a moose veggie wrap. It was excellent, and it was shared in such good company, and they were so kind and generous to us. We had a fire at night, and they didn't show this. John and I were throwing an axe at a tree, trying to. I think it was like a I don't know, 5th generation axe, and we were like, we'll just hurl it at this tree. I'm sure it's not valuable to them, but it didn't break. I broke an axe once doing that. I broke my grandfather's little throwing. What was it? Like a throwing axe, like those Native Americans have. that you see in the movies, like Dances with Wolves. I mean, they hurl it into the white man's back. One of those. I had an old one of those and broke it trying to be cool. Fun times though up north in Umia. Yes, I look back on that time in the countryside and really cherished it. We had a wonderful fire in the evening to finish off the day of filming, and they busted out a guitar, and they didn't show any of this, but I played a bunch. John played a song, and we just sang campfire songs and hung out, and I ate a bunch of. I remember they had a bunch of candy, ate a bunch of chocolate. I ate so much chocolate in Sweden. My whole face was breaking out. Just fucking munching down on sugar. And it was just so nice. Like I think back at that time and it was a wonderful, wonderful experience, and it was a lovely memory. It's a lovely memory. So thank you to that family for taking us in, for having us. It was fun. I wish them well. And then for the final competition, folks. The final competition. We had to memorize 30 songs in 30 minutes. A preposterous task to bestow upon non-Swedish listening Americans. Non-Swedish music listening Americans? I don't know. But your boy took care of it. Folks, got that first 5. 5 out of 5, baby. Yeah, my goal was, to, John said, he was like, I'm just going to try to memorize 20. I just went straight for trying to memorize all 30. And I knew, we knew that once we got 5, we were good to go. And I just wanted to spend as little amount of time in that competition as possible, and which I did. So that was a fun competition. I was very happy with how I did. It doesn't really look like it, which I'm glad. But I was super nervous for that competition. We were all really nervous and quite anxious. But I thought I would look like a psychopath because I don't think I opened my eyes. I barely opened my eyes that whole competition. Like I opened them when I twisted the board, but otherwise, like I was so singularly focused on the task at hand and remembering everything that I had learned, all the different associations that I had like created in my head to memorize 30 songs in 30 minutes. And the way I did that, by the way, if you need to memorize a bunch of shit quickly, the Shit Quicklies, that's a good band name, the Shit Quicklies. It's called, you can look it up on YouTube, Google it, DuckDuckGo it if you don't trust Google. It's called the Mind Palace Technique, and I think fictitiously they give the credit to Sherlock Holmes, if I'm remembering correctly. But yes, the Mind Palace Technique. Basically, it's a visual memorizing system. You create this sort of house in your head, and you make it as visually detailed as possible, so that, and then you like correlate whatever it is that you're trying to memorize as objects in the room. And so the songs were in Swedish, so I would listen to them, and then as soon as I heard a word that sounded like an American word, I would just like remember the American word, and I would associate it with the date. And it was a short-term strategy because it was a short-term competition. I don't remember the dates anymore, but at the time I had that shit locked in, and then we had to say goodbye, as we have been doing now throughout the episodes. We had to say goodbye to Brittany. As she said, it just wasn't her game. She was disappointed with the results, as anyone would be as everyone is when they have to go home. And so we're saying goodbye to Brittany. We wish her well. And we're moving on to next week's episode, folks, which hinted at being outdoors, which hinted at Sally's story, which hinted at some sort of hot button topics with regards to gun policy. And yes, and what else? Oh yeah, and then at the very end, you see a nice little bird getting into a bath. Bird being Erica. All right, friends. Well, that's the end of the show. Just like that. If you'd like to support the show, again, head over to patreon.com/Trevor Ohlsen, where you can sign up to support the podcast, support the music, support everything that I'm doing here creatively. If you're interested in doing that, it's the best way. Patreon.com/Trevor Ohlsen. We'll be back every Saturday on Patreon and for free every Wednesday, as you know, on YouTube. And of course, when this little spree ends of talking Allt for Sverige, the show is going to continue every Wednesday for free, as it has been doing for the past year. So keep doing your thing, keep moving forward. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you guys next week, talking about next week's episode. And take care of yourselves, my friends. And we'll see you later.